everyone, my name is Caitlin. I'm one of your Matcha resident ambassadors, and today I'm going to be answering a few questions. So the first question is, how has my first week of PGY1 year been? And the answer is, it has been a roller coaster already. It's been extremely exciting and very fulfilling finally getting to see patients again, being back in the clinical setting after being out of the hospital for about 3 or 4 months. So that's been very exciting. Starting to build those long-term relationships with patients has been very fulfilling. That's why I went into medicine to begin with, and it's just been really nice to start making those connections with patients, starting to make decisions on my own with supervision, and that's just been one of the most exciting parts so far, is finally getting to make a little bit of a decision. But it's also been very overwhelming, honestly. It's a lot to learn. The learning curve is super steep. And honestly, just learning the EMR has been very challenging. There's so many more buttons now than there were when I was a medical student. So that has been very challenging in itself. Additionally, figuring out how to put in orders. There are so many different types of every medication, figuring out dosing, figuring out how to actually practice medicine instead of just knowing textbook medicine has been very different, and it's been very challenging. So it is a little bit overwhelming, but overall it was a very, very exciting and great first week. The next question is, what is the one thing that I think got me a position in internal medicine? And I think the answer to that is having a well-rounded application. I think that is the one thing that really helped me get interviews and really helped me match into internal medicine. And by saying a well-rounded application, that's not really giving you one specific thing, but I think that having a good step 1 score, having a good step 2 CK score were all super important in getting myself interviews and ultimately matching at a really great program, because I had very high step scores and I applied for a medium to lower competitive specialty. So I think that really helped boost the number of interviews I got and ultimately secured me a position at a really good program. And so the last question is, what are some things that I think I did during my interviews or after my interviews that helped me get ranked? And I'll start out by saying that the top 2 factors that program directors take into consideration for ranking internal medicine applicants regarding the actual interview are communication and conversations and interactions with residents and staff on interview day. Obviously, this year is going to be a little bit different given the virtual circumstances, but from my experience, these kind of held to be true. And so I think one of the things that really helped me get ranked was just my ability to converse with people either at the pre-interview dinner or on interview day. And I say that because obviously everyone is going to ask about the meal stipends and the educational stipends and what the call schedule is like. And while all those things are great, you also want to get a sense of who the people you're going to be working with nonstop are. And so I would have a lot of conversations with residents and the attendings who were there about what they like to do outside of medicine, things they like to do for fun, and just general topics. Like if I read a book and found something interesting and I brought it up and it kind of just stimulated conversation, we would just talk from there. And I think that this was something that happened at most of my interviews, either with residents or the person I was interviewing with. And I think this really helped because it showed that I'm not just like a robot who is here to ask all of the generic interview questions, but that I can actually converse and be personal also. The other thing I think that helped me get ranked that program directors liked was honestly the sense of resilience that they could sense from me. I was very open during my interviews about how I wound up going to a Caribbean school, and I was not afraid to share how badly I did on the MCAT because they could see that my good step scores counteracted for my lack of not getting into a US school in the first place.